ahead, you.
Oops, sorry.
And Assemblyman Joe Giglio. So let me start off asking you, is there anyone here who knows of any reason why this bill should not be repealed?
Well, that answers
Speak
that
now or
question.
forever hold your peace. Or speak now or you'll never keep your peace, and that's P-I-E-C-E. Or
Can you hold a second?
speak now or we'll never keep the peace. Or speak now. Okay, I'm going to read this verbatim. Hank's dad said that he had seen German soldiers raiding the town hall. Later it became known, this is right after the Germans invaded, that everyone who had registered their guns had been contacted and their guns had been confiscated.
Shit.
That's when it also became known that some men who had resisted had been summarily shot on the spot. The German Ortskommandatur, who was the area commander, he posted proclamations. These told of the severe consequences if one was found with a firearm. The disarmament had begun. It showed that from registration ultimately comes confiscation, and that needs to be our battle cry. Registration leads to confiscation. We must fight registration with everything we have.
Amen.
And now I'm going to turn the program over to Blaze Dornish. Blaze is one of the founders of the Elk County, Pennsylvania Tea Party. He's been at this game for probably 3.5 years now. He's also is one of the founding in his talk. So here we go. Blaze.
Yay!
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Did everybody hear me out there?
Oh, yeah.
Folks, if you can't hear, I'd really appreciate if you all moved out in front of these speakers here and make a nice picture for the cameras that are here, the newspapers. Can you hear me in the back now?
Come on, guys, move down.
Move in.
Is this a gathering of people that has come to turn all their firearms in?
No!
Is this a gathering of people that has come to throw out the U.S. Constitution?
Yes!
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. It's great to see everybody. It's a cold day, and here we are on 2/23. There's a significance in that number. We're here on 2/23 to celebrate our God-given right to keep and bear arms. Let me tell you, folks, the Second Amendment does not give you the right to keep and bear arms. Does everybody know that? The Second Amendment does not give you that right.
I earned mine.
God has given us that right.
Oh, I got you.
That right does not come from any other man or woman on the face of this earth. That right is God-given. The Second Amendment protects that right. That right is from on high. I have one master. He is not of this earth. The Second Amendment is ours to defend and to protect. If we want our children to see the liberty, to enjoy the life that we have had, it starts with the Second Amendment.
Amen.
Is Olean, New York, where we draw the line in the sand?
Yes.
Is Lincoln Park the Lexington Green of 2013?
Yes.
Folks, we have unconstitutional criminals in Albany and in Washington. Every single one of these folks, people, has taken an oath to defend, preserve, and uphold the United States Constitution contained therein, the Second Amendment. And how many of them down there are championing your cause to keep and bear arms?
None.
No, a few.
It's great to be with you folks today. I hope I don't bore you.
Thank you for putting this on. This is a bipartisan gathering of members of the county legislature. This is a gathering of citizens. And I wanted to come here today to stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, to fight for our freedoms.
Amen.
This is a beginning and a call for action of all of our fellow citizens to say enough is enough.
Yes.
As I took my oath in the United States House of Representatives chamber, I took that oath to the Constitution. And I renewed that oath today with you here in Lincoln Park proudly to go back to Washington to carry your voice to say we are not going to accept the taking of our liberties.
Thank you.
Got that right.
I have had many conversations with my colleagues in Washington, D.C. Many of those conversations talked about the horrific acts in Connecticut and Colorado. There is not a soul in this park today that does not recognize the tragedy that occurred there and has occurred elsewhere in America. But if we are going to do something about that, let's do something about the cause of those tragedies. It is not a weapon. It was the individual who had the mindset to believe that that should be the right way to conduct oneself in America. That is not what we do. What we need to do is stand with our law enforcement officers. We need to stand with our mental health providers. We need to stand with our parents. We need to stand with the people that could do something to intervene and address away our freedoms from law-abiding Americans. That's why we're here today. And that's why I stand with you to say the Second Amendment is an individual, guaranteed constitutional right that will preserve our freedom for generations to come, so that all those that have sacrificed so much are never forgotten, and our children will enjoy the liberty of America. God bless. Let's go on.
Greetings from everybody from State Senator Kathy Young. The senator sends this letter. Dear friends, I wish I could be with you today. I wish I could be with you today, but I already had committed to previously scheduled obligations in Livingston County. In my stead, I have sent a trusted representative to share that I am with you in spirit as you exercise your First Amendment rights to protect your Second Amendment rights that are guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States of America. As Thomas Jefferson said, the Constitution asserts that all power is inherent in the people. You deserve great thanks and admiration for your willingness to raise your voices as responsible citizens about Albany's infringement on our rights. As you know, I have always been a steadfast supporter of responsible gun ownership and the use of firearms for recreational purposes as well as defense. as an American right under the Second Amendment. Protecting and upholding our Constitution is a profound responsibility, one that I always have taken very seriously. I voted against the gun control legislation because it penalizes law-abiding firearms owners such as you and doesn't do enough to address the real problems of untreated mental illness and criminals who use guns. There is no doubt that Governor Cuomo's gun control law should be repealed. It is heartening that already one lawsuit has been filed and another one will be filed shortly. This issue comes down to one fundamental and profound issue: our freedom. As President Ronald Reagan said, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction."
Right.
We didn't pass it to our children in our bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same, end quote. Thank you for speaking out and your devotion to protecting the very foundation that makes our country unique and exceptional, and the greatest nation in the history of mankind. We may be the furthest away from Albany, but I guarantee that your voices will be heard ringing across the state. I send my sincere appreciation and very best regards to each and every one of you. Yours truly, Catherine M. Young, Senator 5750.
To be here today, who wanted me to assure you that he also voted against this legislation, and that he will continue to work to try to get it repealed or at least amended in ways that are more acceptable. Thank you all for...
Repeal.
I said I would work, but... Thank you. Thank you. I will extend your message to the Assemblyman as soon as I speak to him. And thank you very much for your attendance here today.
Now, our Sheriff Jim Wickham of Cattaraugus County.
I'll keep this brief. I know we're all cold, and I'm going to keep it concise. When Carl Edwards asked me to come here today, I started thinking about what maybe you needed to hear from me. And instead of putting a long speech together, I think what you need to know is this is my 24th year of working as a police officer here in Cattaraugus County. For the majority of my life, I've spent protecting people's rights. And when you do that, it becomes a part of your life. You live it, you sleep it, you eat it, you breathe it, you dream it. And that's true for me and all of my brothers and sisters in law enforcement when you spend that much time doing it. And you spend your time responding to people in a time of need when their rights have been violated and applying justice and protection and safety to them. When this SAFE law was passed, it was passed inappropriately.
Yes.
It missed its mark.
Yeah.
It did not affect the target population that they intended it to, or at least what they said it's supposed to connect with. A very small percentage of the population commits the majority of crime.
That's right.
The tools that we need in law enforcement to protect and serve against that small population was not impacted at all with the passage of this law. It did not give us any further tools to use. And as a matter of fact, it absolutely infringes on the Second Amendment, and I'm proud to be here with you today.
Yes.
This is one of those days, as a sheriff in Cattaraugus County, that I know many years from now I will look back upon and remember and be one of the proud days. This is a pretty cool moment. To be with this many people on a freezing cold day, to be here with a congressman, with representatives from the senator's office, the assemblyman's office, other sheriffs from 2 different states. The chief of police is here on stage with us today too. This is a pretty cool fight. In our daily patrol, when somebody has their rights violated, we show up, we protect them, we restore their rights. This is much bigger than that. In the last couple of months, I've had many inquiries to me electronically, through the phone. Hell, every time I go in and get coffee somewhere right now. People want to know where I stand, and if, in Sheriff, do we have your support? Well, let me tell you something. It's a relationship. Because we have been wronged by the passage. The way the law was passed was inappropriate in itself. And to correct it, we need your help. We need your support. This has become a legislative and judicial action that needs to correct this, and we, quite frankly, need your help to protect and serve. What Blaze said earlier was correct. You're our boss. But we need your help to do what's right.
Not a problem.
I want to thank you for being here today, and I want to point one person out, and I've been trying to find him here. He's over here. He's got a black coat with patches on it that look just like mine, and he is our in-house specialty, or specialist when it comes to the current situation with this. Now, he's here for 2 reasons. If you've got a weapon, and if you've got questions, and if you've got concerns, and you wanted to run them by me, I'm telling you, run them by him, because he knows more about it than me. I brought him here for a reason. Number 2, if you've got a concern that you think is important for us to know to help us fight, take it to him.
Got it.
Okay? He's here to help us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Basically, all I'm here to tell you is, as long as I'm the sheriff in Allegheny County, no deputy or officer for my office will ever enforce a law or rule that is unconstitutional. I will not do that. I think it's reprehensible that our government will use the death of school children to try to infringe on your rights. So, I'm not much of a speaker. This is very short, but I will tell you, I'm here to support you. My office is open for questions. I'm like Tim. I'm not really good at this point because nobody knows what this law means or what some of the parts of it are. But I'll do my best to answer your questions. And I'm here to support you. And as long as I'm sheriff, I will support your Second Amendment rights. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff Whitney. Next up is Sheriff Howard from Erie County.
Don't worry, I got a big stack of papers, but only 2 pages of it is for you. It's great to be back in the Southern Tier. If anybody doesn't know, I was born right here in Olean. I have to declare that several times each year on a federal form 4473, every time I try to buy another gun. Which gets us right to the point of why we're here today. But we all need, as Blaze said, to remember that this is way beyond just our Second Amendment rights. I'm very proud of the work that I have done this year for responsible gun ownership. It seems like that's occupied the majority of my time since the 1st of January. But back in early January, when you saw or heard in Erie County where several charities started to cancel their fundraising events, and other charities announced that they would not receive any money or accept any money that was raised from firearms-related events, the media in Buffalo came to me and asked me for my comments. And I was very proud to tell them that I proudly informed them that I frequented many gun shows, that despite all the gun shows that I go to, I have never seen or heard of any event at one of those gun shows that would embarrass anyone, that I spent hundreds of dollars each year with firemen and other charities buying raffle tickets, that I myself host an annual sporting events involving firearms, a clay pigeon shoot up at the Erie Niagara County Sportsman's Show, to benefit the Boy Scouts, and that every summer I attend 4 shooting events that's entitled I Outshot the Sheriff with the Boy Scouts of America. Some people tell me I should pick on kids on my own side, right? Last Thursday, on February 21st, the Erie County Legislature voted 7-4 in favor of a resolution calling upon Albany to repeal the new gun law. I and a number of my deputies were in the legislative chambers when that was passed, and there was absolutely no doubt on anyone's mind where we stood on that issue. But at that time, Erie County became the 25th county in New York State, and up to that time, the largest county to pass that legislation. 2 of the opposing speakers that day insisted that this new law was needed to remove fully automatic weapons from our streets.
Yeah, right.
Obviously professing their ignorance. The fully automatic weapons were made unlawful in the United States by the Gun Control Act of 1934, which was almost 80 years ago.
Right.
This comment did prove one sad point, that the public can be confused, and some even made terrified, by ignorant and misinformed legislatures and certain members of the media that continue to use misleading terms like assault weapons and automatic weapons to describe guns which can only fire once for each squeeze of the trigger. It's unfortunate that some lawmakers continue to be misinformed, but it does explain their reckless and their irresponsible legislation. 2 of the speakers in Erie County also said what was probably the most problematic words I've heard up to this point, that it doesn't matter what we do in Erie County because Albany is going to do what Albany wants to do.
Because we're here!
When I walked out of the chambers, I was confronted by members of the media that asked me what that meant to me, and it meant that we the people probably don't exist anymore. That's the message that they were delivering, that our own Erie County minority part was delivering to us in Buffalo, that we the people don't matter anymore. But for those of you that may have missed the alarm calls that we've heard before, the alarm is once again sounding, only this time it's sounding louder and more clearly. Our government is now telling us what to do instead of it being the other way around. Exactly. We need to remember our Pledge of Allegiance and just remember what we said here today, to the flag and to the republic for which it stands. Yes. While I stand here today with you to denounce this new law in New York State, we cannot ignore that we do have a violence problem in America. But it's not caused by guns any more than pens and pencils and the modern day keyboards cause spelling errors. Violence continues to exist in America in large part because of the government's failures.
Yeah, no kidding.
Time magazine, just 2 weeks ago, printed an article that said 30,000 Americans are killed each year by firearms. The majority of which, it's in this article, the majority of which is by suicide. And this tells us, according to that author, that America has a gun problem. It was a faulty conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, but it's very clear that this tells us that America has a mental health problem.
Right.
Our governor and our president have both squandered opportunities to do something meaningful about public safety. Mental health professionals, law enforcement professionals, educators, and legislators need to work together for a solution. We can't have 3 men in a room telling us what to do, and we can no longer allow downstate New York to tell upstate New York how to live our lives.
That's right. Yeah, it is.
I am very proud to be one of your speakers here today. I want to tell you that I've spent the last 6 weeks gathering talking points and sending them out to anyone that was interested. This gathering I entitled The Hypocrisy of Democracy, and it encourages us to not berate the people with a different opinion, but to try to educate them. Yes. What I want to tell you is I'm very pleased to share that with anyone that's here today. If you send me an email or a note or call my office, the email is howardt@erie.gov. It's a paper that's got many of the arguments that we heard here today, but as you continue to talk to others, it's something you might want to share. I'll end with this. Someone once said, and I know this is only a paraphrase, that all that is necessary for evil to survive is for good men to stand by and do nothing.
That's right.
There you go!
I recognize that many of you come here today with a valid concern about the improper acts of our government and that you have a desire to do something about it, so I want to put the mic down by saying thank you for your efforts to keep America free.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Howard. Our last sheriff, Sheriff Brad Mason from McKean County, Pennsylvania, which is right across the border.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Welcome. And thank you for supporting the Constitution of the United States. And thank you for standing with me to agree not to allow the government to change the Second Amendment. The Constitution is who we are. We must not allow the United States to become a nation different than what our forefathers intended us to be. Thank you to the men and women who have given life and limb to keep this country safe, to keep this country free, and to protect our Constitution. Remember, those who we have elected have sworn an oath, and they swore to uphold that oath. And it's up to you and I to make sure that they abide by that oath.
Amen.
As a sheriff of McKean County, Pennsylvania, I ask that all who hold the position of sheriff to come together alongside with the strong citizens of America to tell the White House and those in government from there on down, we will not, and I repeat, we will not allow you to take our rights away, and we are America, and we will not be moved. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
And almost last, Kurt Crandall from Allegheny County.
All right.
Thank you, Carl. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and say a few words. I'm glad to be here with our sheriff, Rick Whitney, colleague, Mike Healy, fellow legislator, retired state trooper. I've had a number of calls and emails and inquiries as to where Allegheny County stood on the SAFE Act. And I'm here to tell you that January 14th, which if you recall is the day that the Senate and Assembly passed the SAFE Act, we happened to have a meeting that day. And we quickly put together a resolution that was sent up to Albany asking that this not be passed, that they give it the proper time, the proper vetting, and not bundle this crazy legislation into one act. Our Assemblyman Joe Giglio, our Senator Kathy Young, heard that resolution. I spoke with the Senator that afternoon, but as we know, it passed, and it was signed by the Governor the next day. We have supported a resolution by the Inter-County of Western New York, which we're members, as is Cattaraugus County. It's 19 counties strong. It's asked for the repeal of this SAFE Act.
Yes.
We have a resolution at our next legislative meeting, which is Monday. We're asking for the repeal of the SAFE Act.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that this will pass unanimously. Allegheny County has a long-standing history of sportsmen, gun owners, of which I am myself, and you should know that Allegheny County stands strong in the Second Amendment rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now Bob Crandall, Mike Healy from, also from Cattaraugus County.
Allegheny.
Okay, Mike is passing. I have several others up here. I just want to mention them. Chief Shelley from the city of Olean. Dave Cook and I are county legislators. Dave's a Democrat. I'm a Republican from Cattaraugus County. So as you can clearly see, we have bipartisan support for the repeal of this law. A couple of quick notes. We have a major rally in Albany on the 28th, and we have flyers up here that tell of that. And there also we have copious numbers of documents up here to include copies of the U.S. Constitution. We have 12 seats left on a bus going to
Nine.
nine. Now we only have 9 seats left on the bus, on the second bus going to Albany. So they're going fast. It's been a phenomenal day. It's cold. It's miserable. But I love y'all. You come out. We're out here when we needed you. We need to send a message to the governor and to the legislature, and I hope they hear us. So, again, I thank you all for coming out, and drive safely.
Thank you.